The Varthani Empire had perfected conquest. Not through brute force, not through planetary bombardment, but through precision. Their method was elegant: identify a species' biological weaknesses, engineer a pathogen tailored to erode their civilization, and wait. By the time their fleets arrived, the enemy was already on its knees. Earth was no different. A promising world, rich in resources, teeming with life, far too stubborn to be conquered conventionally. Humanity's history of warfare, resilience, and unpredictable innovation made direct invasion a tactical nightmare. So, the Varthani didn't bother with one. Instead, they released V-397, an engineered bioweapon designed to infiltrate human biology undetected. A slow, insidious degradation. Over generations, it would wear them down: immune system decay, cognitive decline, a drop in fertility. The ultimate war, fought in their DNA. Deployment was flawless. Stealth drones entered Earth's atmosphere, dispersing the agent into global weather patterns. From orbit, the Varthani watched. Years passed. The first reports came in. No alarms, no global pandemics. The humans carried on, oblivious. Just as planned? The projections were clear. By the next century, Earth's population would be weakened, scattered, easy to subjugate. No resistance, no unnecessary bloodshed. The Varthani Council commended the operation. Another species, another quiet victory. Then, the data started changing. It was subtle at first. Disease rates weren't rising. In fact, they were dropping. Cancer rates, plummeting. Neurological disorders, fading. The numbers were wrong. The pathogen wasn't degrading them. It was doing the opposite. The science teams double-checked their models. Perhaps an unexpected delay? A mutation? But the more they analyzed, the worse the truth became. Humanity wasn't weakening. Humanity was improving. Faster cognition. Heightened immune responses. Cellular regeneration accelerating beyond known limits. Instead of crippling their species, V-397 had merged with Earth's unique microbiome, triggering an unforeseen evolutionary leap. The perfect species-wide enhancement, and the Varthani had gifted it to them. The Council convened an emergency session. Could the effects be reversed? Another agent, perhaps? A counterpathogen? But the war projections were suddenly different. Time was no longer on their side. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were evolving. The anomaly deepened. Human medical records showed a staggering decline in mortality rates. Chronic illnesses that had plagued their species for centuries were vanishing. Hospitals reported fewer critical cases. Even aging itself appeared to be slowing. What should have been a long, invisible decline had instead become a quiet ascent. The Varthani watched in growing horror. Their flawless strategy had produced the opposite of its intended effect. The pathogen had fused with Earth's microbiome in ways they hadn't anticipated, triggering an explosion of biological potential. Humans weren't suffering. They were accelerating. Efforts to understand the failure intensified. Varthani biologists analyzed their own data, searching for a flaw in their engineering. There was none. The pathogen had functioned exactly as designed, it simply hadn't accounted for Earth's chaotic, unpredictable ecosystem. Human DNA had absorbed the modifications and adapted. And it wasn't just physical. Cognitive improvements were spreading across populations. Creativity, problem-solving, pattern recognition, all subtly, undeniably increasing. The species that had already been dangerously unpredictable was becoming even more formidable. Reports surfaced of strange occurrences. Unexplained moments of intuition. Scientists making breakthroughs seemingly out of nowhere. Some individuals displaying early signs of heightened perception, as if sensing things before they happened. The signs were faint but unmistakable. The first sparks of something beyond intelligence. The Varthani's advantage was vanishing. They scrambled to release a secondary bioweapon, one that would neutralize the mutation. It was deployed with precision, seamlessly integrating into Earth's atmosphere. And once again, the unexpected happened. The counteragent failed. Worse, like the first, it was absorbed and repurposed. Instead of reversing the effects, it strengthened them. The second attempt had reinforced humanity's evolution. The Council's calculations had changed. The original timeline had projected human collapse within a century. Now, the projections pointed to something else. If the trend continued, humanity wouldn't just survive, they would surpass. And they still had no idea what was happening. Panic spread through the Varthani command. Their most reliable weapon had backfired, accelerating humanity's growth rather than crippling it. Worse, every attempt to counteract the mutation had only furthered the process. Humanity was no longer just surviving, they were unknowingly stepping beyond their biological limits. The Council demanded solutions. War was an option, but the models painted a grim picture. The unpredictable nature of human innovation had always been a concern, but now they were adapting at an impossible rate. Their technology, their intelligence, even their instincts were sharpening. A direct assault was no longer a guaranteed victory, it was a risk. Surveillance reports showed further signs of escalation. Unmanned space probes were returning anomalous readings. Human researchers were making inexplicable jumps in understanding, as if guided by something unseen. Even those without scientific training were demonstrating strange awareness, intuitions that led them to discoveries they had no way of knowing. Something deeper was happening. If the progression continued, humanity would soon leave their cradle. Not as another fledgling race scraping the edges of their solar system, but as something far more dangerous. A species that had unknowingly leapfrogged past millennia of natural development, handed an evolutionary shortcut by the very empire that had sought to wipe them out. A grim realization settled over the Varthani. They had made a mistake, a mistake that could not be undone, and Earth still had no idea any of this was happening. The decision was made. The Varthani would retreat. Not out of strategy, but out of fear. The projections were no longer theoretical. Humanity's advancement was accelerating beyond prediction. If left unchecked, they would soon overtake their would-be conquerors. Erasing evidence became the priority. Research stations were abandoned, surveillance probes were shut down, and every trace of the failed bioweapon was purged from Varthani records. They would leave Earth untouched, unmarked, and unwarned. No other species would be allowed to make the same mistake. The Empire's databases were updated. Earth was no longer a target, it was a forbidden zone. No ships would approach, no communications would be sent. Humanity would be left alone, free to evolve into whatever force of nature they were becoming. From their distant observatories, the last Varthani ships watched as humanity unknowingly stepped forward. Their technology advanced at an impossible rate. Their instincts sharpened. Their understanding of the universe expanded. The species that should have crumbled under the weight of an unseen war had instead won it without ever realizing it existed. And when they finally looked to the stars, it would not be with fear. It would be as conquerors.